going up against fraud, it's just like, it's over. It's over, bro.
I like the format too, but Valorant is going experiment.
If you haven't heard of Faker before, hello and welcome to your first episode of the loading screen. Because I mean,
we talk about all the time.
We talk about them a lot. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the loading screen. I genuinely have forgotten which episode we're on. I think this is episode 9. I am Gedster. Yeah. Joining me is Zero Fight and Soren. It's gonna be a banger of an episode. We got a lot to talk about. But first of all, gentlemen, how are you guys doing today?
Very excited. I mean, last time we talked a lot about Game Awards, which is why we had that super long episode that got split into 2. But generally, the actual news was a little bit light besides that. But since we took a little bit of a break over, Christmas and the holidays, we have had about a month's worth of news drop. And man, Esports is starting to hit stride again. Off season is officially over. I mean, Riot is back in full swing. Marvel Rivals drop news. CS is still going. So we were talking about how there was not a lot going on just a couple of weeks ago, and now we are in the exact opposite. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's been good. I don't know. I'm excited for a lot of the Marvel Rivals stuff, but we'll have to see how it goes. And I'm excited to be back for my second episode. So thank you guys again for having me. But
absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great episode.
Yeah, should be a fun one. We got a lot of news to cover, and I would first like to start by issuing an apology, right? When in previous episodes we have talked about how most of the big games have winded down and they've had their year-end championships already. But we kind of forgot about two real big ones, right? The first is Rainbow Six, because Rainbow Six's big year-end Six Invitational is going to be coming up in a few weeks here, so make sure you tune in for that. But on to the meat and potatoes of this episode. Our first story is about the other esport we missed, and that's Apex Legends. Now, Apex is a game that we've brought up, I believe, literally one time on the show, because back when we first started this show, there was a whole lot of roster mania following the conclusion of Split 2 of Pro League, leading into the qualifications for the global championships, right? And Apex had a ridiculously long break between then and now, but as of last night, the ALGS championship is over, and your winners are a free agent North American roster. First time a free agent roster has ever won ALGS, by the way. And the first time an LCQ team has won the championship. It is Oblivion, consisting of Monsoon, Blinkzr, and FunFPS. 2 veterans of the game in Fun and Monsoon who are, they've been around for as long as Apex has had a competitive scene. And the new blood Blinkzr, the new IGL, the first person Monsoon has ever given up the IGL mantle for, it was an absolutely absurd grand final. For those of you who aren't familiar with how Apex finals work, on LAN, they work in a match point format, where you have to earn 50 points and then win a game in order to lift the trophy. So it can theoretically go a very long time, or a very short time. I believe the shortest match point finals that Apex has ever had was 4 games, and the longest was 13. This fell somewhere in the middle with 9 games. Going into game 4, I believe, Falcons had already hit match point. They were dominant throughout most of this tournament. And we can talk about them a little bit, because there was some interesting stuff going on with Falcons. Less than 24 hours before the tournament started, Imperial Hal, inarguably at this point the greatest player to ever touch the game, and the IGL of Team Falcons, was told that his controller was not available for use during this tournament. They banned that controller because of issues relating to the mobile app that's attached to it. Apparently, any malicious third party could just connect to his controller and wipe all of his buttons mid-game, and there was no way of stopping this. So less than 12 hours.
System.
Yeah,
Exactly.
flawless.
It's terrible. What kind of controller is this? Anyway, it's a bad controller. Anyway, so less than 12 hours before the tournament, Hal is told he can't use his controller. And he looks angry about it in group stages. They win group stages. They make it into grand finals through winners bracket in first place. And they were looking to go first, which no team has ever done before. But again, Oblivion ends up winning it in the 9th game of grand finals. Go back and watch match 7, though. I was showing Soren the ending of match 7 earlier. Utterly
Crazy.
absurd. Falcons probably should have won the tournament in game 7, but Fnatic barely squeaks out the win. And then a few games later, it's Oblivion to win the whole thing. And frankly, I mean, I'm so happy it was Oblivion, man. They weren't my first choice for who I wanted to win, but they were pretty far up there. And oh man, it feels so good to see players like Fun and Monsoon raise that trophy after so many years playing this game. It makes me very, very happy. Like, in that last game, they got 13 kills. They were running through the lobby. Despite the fact that, you know, they're on match point. Maybe they should play careful. No. 13 kills. Nah, it was pretty phenomenal. And also in Apex news, they did announce the locations of LAN next year. We already knew that Champs would be in Sapporo, Japan again, because the city of Sapporo and EA actually signed a contract to host Champs in Sapporo for 3 years. So they did it last year, they did it this year, and they're going to do it again next year. The other 2 LANs, the first one, unsurprisingly, is unfortunately the Esports World Cup in Riyadh. That is where they're going to be hosting their Split 1 playoffs in July. But the second LAN of the year will also, somewhat controversially, be in Las Vegas, here in the United States. So, a lot of people a little bit frustrated, especially internationally. Not to get too political here or anything, but the current administration has recently closed off immigration / visiting from a lot of countries, like globally. And a lot of people are not happy about tournaments like this ALGS LAN being hosted in Vegas because a lot of people can't go or don't feel safe going. But I mean, at least for me, there's a chance I can go to this. I've never been to an Apex event before, and this one's actually kind of close to me. I've been to Vegas once before, and it was really hot, and I hated it. But this is going to be on Halloween weekend. So, yeah,
it's going to be hot. It's still going to be hot. I hate to break it to you. It's still going to be hot. It's Vegas. It's the desert.
Theoretically, it's going to be less hot than July 7th through 9th was in 2022.
Yeah. It'll also be freezing at night.
Yeah.
That's still true the case either way.
But yeah, that's about all the news I have for Apex. It was a phenomenal tournament the whole way through. I thoroughly enjoyed watching, and I'm really happy the team that won was Oblivion because they deserved it more than anybody, and they are going to get picked up by an organization going into year 6.
Would have to you would have to. I'm actually, you say that, I was actually gonna talk about it in the Marvel Rivals section later. Right now there's a weird trend of really good unsigned teams not getting picked up by orgs. The MRC champions in Pacific for Marvel Rivals have been free agents for, I think, the last 6 months, even after winning.
Is Chopperbag still unsigned?
They are still unsigned. They're still unsigned.
What do you mean?
We'll talk about it in the Marvel Rival section. But Apex is on fire right now. I unfortunately did not get to watch it. Very frankly, I was not aware it was happening this weekend. It's a little bit outside of my realm. I have a lot of feelers out, and I follow a bunch of different people and a bunch of different events, but I just didn't see that this tournament was taking place. But I did see all the aftermath this morning of people talking about how the finals were insane, and Oblivion being a massive team to win. Again, an LCQ team as well, not even just a free agent team, an LCQ team. It's incredibly.
Free agents.
Yeah, incredibly impressive. I can't wait to go back and watch it for myself. Apex looks like it's in a really good spot, and I'm happy to see. Apex is one of those games that is constantly going through turmoil, like every single year, it feels like. But the
Mhm.
competitive scene is still super diehard, and they keep that game alive. So happy to see another tournament just absolutely be a banger. So we want to move on to some Marvel
Let's move on.
Rivals news, and we actually don't have a full rundown list, so I am doing this off the dome. So I do apologize if this is a little ranty, but I am super excited because we were begging for it. We were hoping we would get a bit of news at the grand finals back in November / end of October. We didn't get anything. We kept being told, just hold off, just hold off, just hold off. I know I was personally told that I have my own clock down here. I can see it. But they announced the roadmap for 2026, and their whole slogan last year or going into this year was that last year was going from 0 to 1. This year is going from 1 to 100, and it really is the case. $300 million on the table across all of their tournaments for the course of 2026. They are going into a partnership program, much like Valorant, where 12 teams per region. They combine the Oceania and the Asian regions to form a Pacific region. So now there is 4 major: China, Pacific, EMEA, and North America, or the Americas. And yeah, they are going crazy. Partnership program is already been released, so I think that deadline for the teams to apply to be partners passed just 2 days ago as of recording. And there's rumors. I don't know how accurate they are. I heard them from some whispers beyond that they're supposedly supposed to have answers by the end of the month. So it should be a pretty quick turnaround to know what teams make it. But it is including 2 lands, a whole preseason to determine seedings, promotion and relegation system. So the MRCs, starting after season 6, I believe, are going to really matter because they are going to be competing for like league points, I think is the name. And if you get high enough, you have a chance to fight for a promotion, and the bottom teams have a chance to be relegated. So it influences teams to do better once they make the partnership program, and it also makes MRCs, that tier 2 scene, still really, really relevant. So after reading it myself, I genuinely had the thought of they pretty much took every part of the like partnership program from VCT and what they were taking from League and a bunch of other really big esports across the world and just made it so that all of the big flaws in all those systems were either tweaked or outright fixed. So in theory, they have given themselves the best runway to get 2026 started. It is just a matter of getting eyes to the game. And on top of the roadmap being released, season 6 dropped 2 days ago as of recording. It was just this past Friday, and they broke the peak concurrent record that they have had, or not the record that they had, but it's broken the record since I think season 2.5. 200,000 players playing at one time on Friday. And as of last checking, I think earlier today, they were still sitting strong at like 150,000. It's been dancing around 100,000 for the last couple months, for a reference, which is still a very healthy number. But it's really showing how many people run excited for Deadpool. It's a little broken, but that's fine. He's fun to play. And the game is still super enjoyable, and people are loving it. So a lot of good eyes on the game. 2026 Ignite's looking good. MRC also did wrap up. I actually have the winners here just because we're not going to talk about it crazily, but especially in North America, if you want to watch some really good tier 1 Marvel Rivals, go check out North America's MRC for season 5, because many of the other regions had their players locked down for 2-year contracts. So like VP, Virtus Pro, they didn't decide to make any changes to their roster, and all their players are re-signed. Virtus Pro didn't play anything. None of their players played in MRC, but Navi, who made a change, picked up Terra, which is, I could talk about that for days, so I won't. But like Chopped and Navi, Chopper Mag, Crazy Raccoons, they all kept their rosters and competed in MRC, but North America did not. All their players, their contracts ran out. So it was a really fun tournament where you had tier 2 players playing with tier 1 players. You had like half a Fly and half a Dark Zero competing on one team. It was very chaotic and it was very fun. If you're interested at all in the scene, it is probably some of the best Marvel Rivals that you're going to see. I would heavily recommend you check it out. But the winners in China, I'm actually incorrect. China did not play this last MRC. Oh, wait, no. I'm looking at season 6. Why is season 6 up? That's not for like a month and a half. Editor, cut this out. Why is the Wikipedia? You results for MRC, though, because they are quite interesting. We mentioned a little bit during the Apex Legends chat, but the #1 team coming out of the Pacific region, which is, again, the first time the Asian and the Oceania regions teams actually met regionally rather than internationally. It ended up being Crazy Raccoons, the #1 team coming out of Asia last year, versus Chopper Mag, the #1 team coming out of Oceania last year, in the kind of Cinderella story at Grand Finals. And Chopper Mag, I believe, 3-0'd them. Chopper Mag kind of made it look easy. They are scary, and the Chopper Mag needs to be signed movement is still going strong, because somehow, after 2 regional wins in tournaments and having I think it was a top 6 finish at Grand Finals, they're still unsigned.
That's insane.
Tell me how. Tell me how.
The fact that a regional organization like a Ground Zero or a Renegades or a Power even haven't picked them up is ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? Lachlan.
They are mostly a ex Ground Zero team. Ground Zero dropped these players to pick up a different roster, and then they proceeded to.
It's actually crazy.
We go on, or we're gonna start yelling. In EMEA, it was Chopped versus Na'Vi. That's crazy. 2 of the top 3 teams coming out of EMEA that kept their rosters, except Na'Vi, who dropped one of the best duelists in the world for arguably the best duelist for the world, won the EMEA. Wild, while VP was not performing or wasn't playing. So how crazy, but that's still, it was still a very fun game to watch. I would recommend it. In China, OUG beat LDGM. I apologize, I'm not as familiar with the Chinese region, but I know OUG, very respectable team. They have been really good for the entirety of the last year, so not surprised to see them win. And then Doom Crew ended up beating Mutants, which, if you really want to know the caliber of rosters playing, the team that came second consisted of Energy, Melania, SJP, Smash, Spark Chief, Veswa, and Kalush. That team came second. That team came second.
What?
That team came yeah, no, it was a fun tournament. I would heavily recommend you check it out. I'm gonna find the Doom Crew roster real quick so I could also tell you who they lost to. Amadi and Melophobia, Krasmang, Scattergenji, Forky Dog, and Shocker, which they are nowhere near as big of names, but notably that is just Team Nemesis. That's just Team Nemesis. They are no longer under Team Nemesis' name, but that team, after being the only team to truly stick together as a 6-man stack for the entirety of 2025, chose to do so again going into the MRC. And they beat another full team of Tier 1 talent. So yes, Doom Crew did win, but it's just Team Nemesis, who is a top 4 finisher in stage 1. So not surprising, but yeah. That's the caliber of competition right now in Marvel Rivals. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot going on. We are in a little bit of a lull now while we wait for more announcements for partnership teams and for the next MRC to begin. But even the next MRC is going to be mostly Tier 2, because by then, hopefully, most Tier 1 rosters are solidifying most Tier 1 teams are solidifying their rosters. So it'll be a little bit less important for the next MRC. But after that, Ignite starts, MRC starts up again, and this year is looking wild. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it looks good. At under 10 minutes.
Oh, man, I like talking about Marvel Rivals. I like it.
Under
Okay,
10 minutes. No. I'm not blaming. I'm just saying you kept it under 10 minutes.
Like,
I'm impressed.
I think as well, getting on to 2XKO, which back into the Riot sphere for a minute here. I mean, the big thing is that 2XKO reduces 2026 seasons while keeping champion releases the same. They announced that it's going to go from the content plan for 2026 will go from, oh my God, the jump scare is crazy. Just sneaking up into the middle.
Ged's losing his mind because we're back into the Riot sphere.
We can't escape Riot.
Ged was so happy.
It's inescapable.
Ged was so happy when Worlds was over because we were finally going to get a break from Valorant and League. And then we got nothing but news week after week in that offseason. And then by the time it was finally over and we had really no news, it started back up again. Ged gets no break. Riot lives perpetually in his head.
Break. Yes.
No, it's crazy because
feed me Valorant.
As much of a joke as I make it, and I don't mean to interrupt the 2XKO section. I like Riot. I like Riot's games. I love watching League. I love watching Valorant. 2XKO is one of the most promising games out there. So this is entirely a bit, but yes, I cannot escape the Riot sphere. Anyways, please continue with the section before I accidentally jump scared you.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, we do love talking about the other Riot games. I mean, even though League, it's good. It's a good esport, but watching it, playing it is a whole different story. But anyway,
playing it makes you want to jump off a bridge.
It's something else. It's something else. But you know what doesn't? It's getting fist to fist, hand to hand combats in 2XKO. Well, ish. I suppose there's a lot of spells and stuff for the RE and other characters, but yeah, they're going to reduce their content plans in 2026 from 5 seasons to 3 based on player behavior observed during early access. I think that's fine. They're still going to release 5 champions throughout 2026, so it's not like you're going to be getting any less content. It's just the balance patches won't be as often, which I honestly think is fine, especially if it's going to be set up as an esports. Not having as volatile things for like longer seasons can be good, especially with fighting games where it can be like, I don't know, you don't always see an insane amount of patches. So I think the slower pace should be interesting to see. The adjustment results in lower or fewer ranked resets and battle pass refreshes, which Riot says should create a smoother competitive experience. I mean, I think that's good generally as well. You know, you don't really want to have your rank reset all the time. I think it's good every once in a while. And as long as they're releasing content, I guess that isn't just the battle pass, I think it's fine. I suppose it's just every model nowadays. So what are you gonna do? But and they also Riot also announced the new weekends warm-up feature, introducing weekly Thursday resets for missions and store content to boost weekend engagement. So hopefully as well getting stuff there. I'm very interested to see if this does boost the engagement, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like this is such a weird game for Riots. Like everyone is excited for 2XKO, but I really think it has like yet to have its big moments and blow up. So I think they're really trying to have something there with this weekend's warm-up feature, but we'll have to see if it pays off, if it does anything, because it is interesting. I do want to see this esport like succeed. I enjoy fighting games. Like I think the more good fighting games, the better, and I think Riot knows how to do esports. So if it's a good game and a good esport, then it's the best of both worlds, you know?
All right, but moving on from 2XKO and Riot for now. We'll get back to Riot later because of course we will. Let's talk a little bit about Counter-Strike, because there's been a lot of stuff involving Counter-Strike in the last few weeks. For example, the first big thing is that Blast did a little bit of explaining / revising to their bounty system that they've had in place for a little while now. Now, they introduced it to offer a fresh alternative to traditional Counter-Strike tournaments, replacing standard prize distribution with team-specific monetary bounties. Top 16 teams carry bounties, while lower-ranked teams act as bounty hunters, choosing their opponents and earning part of the bounty if they pull off the upset. For 2026, they've removed the monetary wagering between teams, shifting to a non-monetary system after teams were a little bit reluctant to risk prize money in 2025. Blast says that the format is designed to stand out in a crowded CS calendar while staying flexible based on team feedback and competitive trends. So it will be very interesting to see going forward how this system changes, because frankly, as a viewer, I really liked the bounty system, but yeah, orgs and players, not so much. Moving from Blast to ESL, ESL has confirmed the top 24 teams for IEM Krakow in 2026, with 16 teams starting in Stage 1, and the remaining top-tier squads, including Vitality and FaZe Clan, for example, entering in Stage 2. The event runs from January 28th to February 8th with a $1 million prize pool. That one's going to be awesome. Please tune into that one, because notable competitors include Simple returning with BC Game, NRG, Gamer Legion, Team Liquid, G2 Esports, all competing for a spot in the playoffs and marking the start of the 2026 ESL Pro Tour. Blast Rivals Season 2 will be taking place in Hong Kong from November 8th to 15th, featuring 8 CS2 teams competing for a $1 million prize pool split between a $650,000 club share and $350,000 player share. The last 3 days of playoffs will be held at Asia World Expo. Teams will be selected based on the Valve regional standings as of October in 2026. The winning team will earn the prize money and frequent flyers points, which can be used to gain additional rewards from Blast's $2 million revenue share program. Last bit of news for Counter-Strike is more on the North American side, because NRG managed to defeat out the European team 9 by a score of 3-1 in the Frag Miami 2 CS2 LAN event, marking a strong start to the 2026 season. The grand final featured a tense opening map with 5 overtimes and 48 rounds, ultimately ending 25-23 in NRG's favor. 25-23. That's like hell. That is a hell match.
Yeah.
The team's new roster, including the return of Joshua O.C. Ohm, excelled through group stages and knockouts, earning 5,000 in prize money and Valve regional standing points, which secured NRG a spot at IEM Krakow 2026 later this month. So, a lot happening across all of the different tournament organizers in Counter-Strike as of late, and yeah, IEM Krakow is going to be a very, very exciting tournament.
To round out the big headlines for the week, you thought we were done with Riot? No, we are not. Ged, I apologize in advance.
We're never done with Riot.
It's officially no longer the off season, as we alluded to earlier. Valorant has begun, but Valorant began, I believe, at the start of this past weekend. So very frankly, not a lot has been played. I do know the first teams that competed in the Americas region was the New Boys Envy going up against Evil Geniuses. And Evil Geniuses did kind of walk them on game 1, but Envy came back and reverse swept the series 2-1. And Eggster has proven that despite being a Yoru one trick, he could still be a Yoru one trick and absolutely dominate in the tier 1 scene. So massive win for Envy. But all the eyes really is on the league scene, primarily LCK, because that has been going now for I think 2 weeks. The all new America's Cup, NRG's return to League of Legends 2026 Esports overhaul, first selection, financial changes, and Hall of Legends return. Plus, Faker becomes the first esports athlete to receive South Korea's Chongyong medal. There's a lot happening in the league scene. Okay, Riot Games has unveiled the America's Cup, a new cross-regional League of Legends event following second and third place teams from the LCS and CB LOL, set to take place in Sao Paulo before first stand in March. The 5-day live audience tournament will use a double elimination format and offer boot camp opportunities instead of prize money, with Riot funding training in South Korea for qualifying teams. I actually think that's really good. Obviously, we have gone back to CBLOL and the LCS. The old branding of LTA is dead, so offering a little bit of crossplay between the two regions. That was one of the highlight points of the LTA, was to get to see that competition, though it did mean both sides lost a lot. So to continue allow the opportunity to have some cross matches there is still very good. NRG has officially returned to League of Legends by entering the North American Challengers League, merging with Dark Zero and positioning itself as a development-focused organization with the long-term goal of qualifying for the 2027 promotion tournament and earning a path back into the LCS. So NRG, like we talked about earlier, is rapidly expanding after that Dark Zero acquisition, and they are looking to retake a spot in the LCS, which is always good for the team. League of Legends has introduced First Selection, a new system for side choice and draft order, giving teams the option to pick either blue or red side or whether to draft first or second. The opposing team then chooses the remaining option, adding more strategic depth to drafts and addressing side win rate imbalances. Not going to talk about it in much detail because it's still very new, but they're also in the Valorant scene. I know Leo Faria talked about the option of, I can't remember if it was seeding or choosing which team would get map side choice, having skirmishes where teams would put up one player to do a 1v1 fight.
Or the coach.
They talked about doing coaches, which I think would be so much more fun. That would make the coaching cycles so good.
I mean, it's just the team who elects it. So.
Oh, that's so fun.
I think Riot should mandate that it be the coaches, personally.
I think it should be the coaches.
Leo Faria said it wasn't going to be that.
No, but they should, because imagine how funny it would be if Termy and Autumn were 1v1ing to see who gets first map pick.
That would be funny. But then there's like these like coaches no experience. And then there's like you're going up against fraud. It's just like it's over. It's over, bro. Like
I hope teams start doing GAs, just gentlemen's agreement to send coaches out. I really hope we get to see that. But
it would be so funny.
They're also not mentioned here. Valorant's going crazy. Besides the skirmishes, they're also doing the first ever triple elimination tournament.
Yes, they're doing that for kickoff, and I like that format a lot.
I like the format too, but Valorant is going experimental this year. But back to League. Riot has also modernized the financial structure for 2026, removing regional split prize pools in certain leagues and redirecting funds towards long-term ecosystem growth while keeping global event prize pools funded by the global revenue pool. So from my understanding of that, typically all those prize pools will split individually, but now they are going to be allocated differently depending on where they want to see the most growth. So that does mean that there might be more of an injection into the NA scene, for instance, seeing as the LCS has been dying for like the last 5 years. So they might inject a little bit more money as opposed to LCK, which is a pretty stable region. So that is some good news if you're a part of a smaller region or one that's struggling a little bit. The Hall of Legends Player Award will return ahead of Worlds, continuing to celebrate the game's most impactful professionals. We do not have word yet on who it is. And to round it out, it always comes back. The road always leads back to Faker. I just smacked my mic. I apologize out there. Lee Faker Sang-hyuk was awarded the Shangyong Medal by President Lee Jae-myung during South Korea's New Year reception, making him the first esports player to earn the country's highest sporting honor, traditionally reserved for Olympic gold medalists and world champions. Faker's achievements include 6 League of Legends world titles, becoming the first player to reach 1,000 international tournament kills, and earning recognition as Esports PC Player of the Decade in 2025, solidifying his status as a leading figure in esports globally. And very frankly, if you don't know who Faker is, you're crazy. That rundown of accomplishments is still missing out on a majority of his accomplishments. The man is a walking trophy case. So if any player was going to get it, Faker is obviously the person to do so.
And he is just that guy, isn't he?
Yeah, and as a side note, if you haven't heard of Faker before, hello and welcome to your first episode of the loading screen. Because I mean, we talk about all the time. We talk about him a lot. he comes up in conversation pretty frequently, considering GOAT status, all that jazz. Yeah. But I mean, it's been very interesting in the Riot sphere. I've been watching a little bit of the LCK Cup here and there. We talked about it a little bit before the recording started, but the the matchup between Hanwha Life and T1 where the team that took 2 members of the core the T1 core that won Worlds like 2 years ago, with who was it? It was Zeus and Gumayushi. That's it.
Yeah.
That's who left. That's who left. Yeah. T1 won that 2-1. That third game was like one of the least close games of League of Legends I've ever watched in my life. It was very it was very unfortunate for Hama Life, but T1 looks really good with Pays on the roster now. I am very excited to see what this squad can do against the likes of Gen G, for example. And yeah, I mean, in terms of League, that's about it from me. I do want to talk a little bit, like very, very briefly, about the Valorant triple elimination bracket thing that's happening for kickoff, because oh my god, yes, dude. One of my biggest problems with last year was that the first Masters of the Year, Masters Bangkok, only had 8 teams, and teams qualified to get there by doing a double elimination bracket. The number of games that you saw if your team did not make playoffs or international lands last year was ridiculously low, and already making it a triple elimination bracket instead of a double elimination bracket to get to the first Masters of the Year, which I believe is in Santiago, but I could be wrong. Already a great change for Valorant. I am delighted that they're doing this.
It's 12 teams at Masters now, so it's 3
Yes.
teams qualify through, which I think the like 8, 12, and then 16 teams is cool in a way, but I do just want to see more teams. I would rather them just like experiment with the formats at the master events than, I guess, miss out on 4 teams like getting to go to global. So it is cool to see, and I think this is a cool format as well. I think moving into 2026 and 2027, they haven't announced the plan obviously, but it will be interesting to see if they really do anything with that, because I don't know, there's a lot of ways to improve, but
it does also just kind of address the biggest problem that Riot has had with Valorant, and it really is the amount of games played. The amount of games played in Valorant has always been under contention. I mean, how many teams go to Masters? It always, like, the first one always being 8 is always a big thing of like, that does not lend itself to actually having a lot of games, which means you don't get nearly as many eyes and you don't get as many matches that people are actually interested in.
I feel like
also,
I don't know. I feel like the matchups end up being like all super close at those Masters, but I still think the extra teams are nice. But I mean, I feel like those matchups are always like, I don't know. I think like when you think back to like Gen G versus Sentinels, that was like one of the most.
I mean, if you
like,
think about it, like I don't mean to cut you off, but like part of me is a little bit conflicted here, because it wasn't because there were only 8 teams at Masters Bangkok, but that was my favorite event of last year's Valorant circuit. Partially because, I mean, I'm biased. I'm a T1 fan. They won that tournament somehow. But at the same time, even if I wasn't a T1 fan, the story of how they won that tournament was absolutely absurd. I mean, they scraped into that tournament. They lost to DRX in the domestic grand finals. They make it in. They beat every single region's first seed in order to win the tournament. They beat out Vitality, they beat out DRX, they beat out EDG, and then they beat G2 somehow, which, I mean, that run was crazy.
Yeah, they were also removing player, like Sylvan got removed, and
Sylvan got benched for Carpe.
He played the first match, and my goat Carpe came out. He got everyone together, and he was like, he sent Sylvan back in with like the force of God, like, and just like enabled him to get it, and then it all blew up. But you know, they had their moment.
Yeah.
It was so cool, but it is great, and I think going into Santiago, it should be super great as well to see the 12 teams perform, because I think the competition this year is just going to be insane for VCT across the world, really. I think every region is super competitive.
To your point earlier, Zara, I don't think people have had an issue with like the quality of games to the Masters, because very notably the Masters for the last couple of years have been absolutely insane. The quality of games have been really good. it's people were looking for more international, especially
Yeah.
because they also have a little bit of an issue of you get to Masters, and I know it was much more frequent earlier in its life cycle in Valorant, but you would have like 2 NA teams go up against each other in a Masters. Why would that be the case? We're at a Masters, an international. We want to see an EU versus NA matchup. We want to see a Pacific versus EMEA matchup. So people were just hungry for more of those rather than saying that the games were not quality. But also, I remember early Valorant where I think it was a 100 Thieves player was talking about it, because 100 Thieves fan, if you forgot, by the way. I mandatory one mention of it, TLS recording.
One per episode.
One per episode. But I remember, because 100 Thieves was bad that year, for like 4 months of the year, which was like a third of the year for Valorant, there were 5 games that 100 Thieves got to play. They played 5 BO3s, and that is it for 4 months, because they had their 5 games where they had a chance to qualify, and they did not do well. They didn't make it to playoffs originally, and they were just out for months. I know they should have, but also that meant only like 5 teams got. They only got 5 teams.
True, but
only 5 teams got to play more than 5 games for that split. It was just.
Listen,
we need more tournaments. Like, I agree though. Like, rather than like the seasonal structure, I think it's fine. Like for a little bit, but like for one stage could be cool. But I don't know. I like getting more like actual tournaments in, and like having building towards the LAN culture that CS has kind of built as well. Like with obviously not like renting it out to different like producers and like event organizers, but still just more lands across the country and build up that land culture, I think would be super great. And I think into 2027, that's what they've talked about potentially doing. But this year, it's still good to see that they'll be doing like homestands, or not homestands, but the playoffs of stage 2 will be in different cities.
Yeah, they also announced, we talked about it a couple, I think a month or two ago on the TLS, that they did announce that China, their region, is doing like 5 different cities rotating lands for their regionals. So they're kind of trialing it over there. So that is the route that they're going, which is always good. But the triple elimination, to kind of bring it back, just answers a lot of the problems that people have. It ups the amount of teams competing, so even more international matchups being played. The quality of the game is still going to be incredibly high because of how good the teams are nowadays. And everyone's going to get to play more matches, which no one in Valorant is going to say no to, because my God, we love watching them. So I think it's good all across the scene. And to kind of close out League is going well too. LCK's back in action. Even more regions are going to be starting up here in the next couple of weeks. Can't wait to see. Oh, Los Ratones. They got smacked around by Fnatic. I forgot that happened. The first game of the LEC. That was a really hype moment, and Los Ratones got whacked by Fnatic. So a bit of a wake up. So keep an eye out on Los Ratones and Fnatic.
Yeah. Well, enough with the Riot sphere for this episode. We finally escaped it until we mention it again. Just randomly, it's just gonna happen. I already know it. It's about to pop up. But moving on to a little bit of the miscellaneous news. We have honestly a good variation. In a historic milestone, Singapore's parliament has passed amendments to the Singapore Sports Council Act that formally recognize esports and mind sports as sports under national law, allowing Sports Singapore to support them through funding, facilities, and governance standards. Sorry, Jesus Christ. And yeah, I think it's great to see. Hopefully it can again build up more. I think a lot of the governments and just like culture in Southeast Asia really is it's cool to see the support for it. So we do love that as far as like making events. And then the inaugural Esports Nations Cup will take place in Riyadh in November 2026, featuring 16 titles across team-based and solo formats with partners including Chess.com, SNK, and Moonton Games. Team competitions will feature 24 to 48 national teams, and solo events will have 32 to 128 players. Half the participants will receive direct invites based on competitive performance, while the rest qualify through online qualifiers. National teams must represent countries not existing esports organizations, ensuring diversity, merit, and national identity. So switching it up a little bit from Esports World Cup, but uh, I mean, it's an event in
It looks so thrilled,
Saudi.
Ged.
Like, it's just like, I don't know. Like, it's not, I don't know. It's not
Listen,
great.
in concept, it's cool. I mean, individual games have done this before. Like, I mean, the PUBG Nations Cup has been happening for years. The Overwatch World Cup is coming back this year. But like,
the oil money.
Unfortunately, it's being run by the Esports World Cup Foundation, and you at home, dear TLS viewer, know exactly how I feel about the Esports World Cup. So we're just gonna move on. We have new partner teams in the Overwatch Champion Series. I forgot to talk about this like a few months ago, but the Dallas Fuel are back. After years of envy not being an organization, they are officially back in Overwatch. They've brought back their Overwatch League branding, and they are going to be one of the 4 partnered teams in the North America region. It is very exciting to have them back. But on top of that, we also have Disguised. The organization owned by streamer Disguised Toast is going to be one of the partnered teams in OWCS this next season. That one was a little bit more of a surprise to people, Disguised never having been involved in Overwatch before on any level, but now they're going to be here. And the new partner team in EMEA is Team Peps, who I mentioned having made World Finals by beating out Virtus Pro in the regional bracket a few months ago. They kind of bombed out at World Finals, but they are like the most popular French team, and the French fan base is extremely passionate. So really, really cool to see them back. Now, we do also know that the Chinese region is going to be getting a couple of partnership teams, but we don't know who those are going to be yet. We imagine one of them is going to be Weibo Gaming, because they've been, you know, the best and most popular team in China for a while now. But recently, JDG announced that they are returning to Overwatch after very briefly fielding a roster back in like 2017, I want to say. And they have signed the entire core of Team CC, who were the runner-up Chinese team in the previous year of OWCS. So that is very exciting stuff. We have more partnership teams, more partnership players. And I mean, there's a couple of adjustments to OWCS that they've announced recently that I won't go into here. Maybe we'll make that like a headline in the next episode after more news comes out. But yeah, I mean, it's in that regard, it's a very exciting year for Overwatch.
To close out miscellaneous, because we are going a little long here. We're going a little long, but it's fine. Luminosity has been reacquired by its original founder, Steve Maida, with the organization confirming his return in a public announcement. We made a short about this a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, even now. But it was originally just as a group that bought back the company, which did mention that it was a lot of ex-owners and some of the founders, but Steve Maida being the original founder was not public knowledge, but now it is. So he is officially back in charge, or at least partially so. And again, as mentioned in that short, as part of the sale, all current Luminosity players and creators were paid in full, while responsibility for historical debts and unpaid former creators remains with the previous owner, Vertical Studios, who bought the company back in, I think, September. Maida reflected on founding Luminosity as a personal passion project and described the reacquisition as a full circle moment, expressing optimism about the brand's future. Luminosity's website also currently lists several Super Smash Bros. Ultimate players, suggesting a possible return to the Smash scene, while other competitive rosters remain undecided. That is some good news that Luminosity is now back under some really good hands, some passionate hands that hopefully will be bringing that organization, because that is a very historic, not a massive organization, but a very historic organization. They've been involved in a lot of different scenes, so happy to see them return.
And I believe that just about does it for what we've got in this episode of the loading screen. Do either of you two fellas have anything to say before we sign out?
Except for, I'm excited to see some more Valorant. I'm locked into the Riot sphere. I'm locked in. Actually, just to have the Riot sphere. But
well, while you are locked in, it's a big sphere. Well, while you are locked into the Riot sphere, the Six Invitational 2026 starts 15 days from recording date. It's going to start on February 2nd and end on February the 15th. I am personally extremely excited about this one. I have a lot of friends who are going to SI in person, and I can't go, and I'm very sad about it, but one day I'll make it to a Siege event. Today's not that day, though. Today is unfortunately not that day, but it was a fun episode, fellas. We ran a little bit over time, but I'm sure this one won't get cut into 2 episodes because I don't think we had like a real reason to cut that one in half like we did last time we recorded together. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Loading Screen, and we will be back in a couple weeks with even more news. So don't go anywhere.